Hello there from wherever you are watching us from. This is Agri Talk right here on KTN Farmers TV, and today we'll be talking about the role of agri-SMEs in growing Africa's economy and how to support the business environment from around and even beyond. And we have Valentine Miheso here, who is an expert from Agri, and he's here to just help us discuss more about this and how to grow the African economy through SME support. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, now let's just begin with you just telling us when we say agri-SME, what do we mean?
So basically, when we say an agri-SME, this is a business in agriculture. It's an enterprise in agriculture. That's why agri-SME.
Yeah. All right, so for you out there, you've got it right. So when we say agri-SME, it's just a person who is in business but doing also agriculture.
Exactly.
All right, so let's look at the role of SMEs in Kenya. Where are we currently?
Okay. So when you look at a typical value chain, any product or any solution has a value chain where you basically produce and then sell to a consumer.
All right.
So in the agriculture value chain, where you're producing a specific food product and supplying it to a consumer, you have SMEs playing roles in that particular value chain. Right at production level, you have enterprises or agri-SMEs that support the farmer to access inputs and solutions and technologies to help them improve their productivity. Along the way, those SMEs can also provide services like spraying services, mechanization services, again, to support the smallholder or the farmer to improve their productivity. There are also SMEs that will also support a farmer even with management, so especially if you're a medium or a large-scale farmer, then you need some management, service, again, supplied by SMEs. Once a farmer has produced their produce, they then have to aggregate or do some value addition before they sell to a processor. Again, you have SMEs that do play a role there, just in terms of aggregation, ensuring that the post-harvest produce is of good quality. Along the chain, again, there are some SMEs that process, and then there are SMEs that sell to the consumer. So you see, they actually play a very critical role, all the way from production up to consumption.
Even as we speak about the critical role that they play, what are some of the challenges that emerge when we speak about SMEs in Kenya?
So generally, a small business or an SME in agriculture, they face two key challenges. I mean, they'll give you so many other, but you can drill them to two key things.
Yes.
Number one is access to finance. As we all know, most startups are funded by savings, family, friends, come up and they give you some money. And then you have a period of growth, 1 to 2 to 3 years. So this financing is a key issue. Secondly, they have a major challenge with business models to engage so many millions of smallholder farmers.
Yes.
So you are an agro dealer in a village in Kagio in Kirinyaga with 20,000 farmers. How do you engage them? How do you even ensure that you have a captive market? So those farmer engagement models are a major challenge, and many SMEs really struggle to find ways in which to engage and ensure that their farmers continue to provide them with business. There are many others, but I can tell you it really drills down to those two things. Of course, you could look at the management structure, because most SMEs are founded and managed. As they begin to grow, how do you begin to manage growth? So a bit of management, structures could be an issue. Policy, but again, policy is here and there, but really, that could also be, a key challenge that these SMEs face. So I would say when you really look at the key problems, those four for me really are very critical.
All right, so you've spoken about financing. Let's just delve deeper into the financing challenge that most SMEs have. So what is the exact problem when it comes to financing? Because you find that someone maybe starts their business today, and after 2 weeks, they've started complaining about they don't have the market, they don't have the way, they don't know, maybe the products they bought today, 2 weeks down the line, they don't know how to maintain them there. So let's talk about the finance.
So financing is at two levels. You have ecosystem financing, which is really government budgetary allocation to the sector. Most African governments committed in Malabo to allocate at least 10%, because agriculture contributes 20 to 30% across Africa,
Yes.
direct, another 20 to 30% indirect. So you're looking at a 50% role of agriculture in any African economy.
Yes.
And government's only committed 10, and only 3 have reached 10. Others are doing 2 or 3%. So there's an ecosystem level of financing, and many African governments have not achieved that. And then there is the enterprise level of financing, which is really, now I need to increase my stock. How do I get working capital? Because I haven't generated enough cash, or the money I've generated is not able to make me reach there. So how do I access working capital? Or I want to expand my business. I want to put up a warehouse. I want to repair my machines. I want to buy a new machine. How do I access money to buy more assets? Now, because you are an SME, because you are structured as a founder-led, founder-managed business, many banks don't understand you. But then it's even worse that you're in agriculture, where financial institutions have a higher risk, or are risk averse to finance agriculture. So for an SME, one, you will struggle with ecosystem financing, which is government budgetary allocation to make the sector work. But as an enterprise, you're dealing with a financial services sector that is not willing or is averse to financing agriculture, because they don't understand it.
Yes.
It's easier for a bank to lend to government on treasury bills and bonds, because they are very sure they'll get their money. But you, an SME in agriculture, how sure are they if they give you 1 million shillings,
exactly,
they'll get back their money, plus their interest?
Yeah, so, and in this SME financing, do we have maybe the requirements that the government maybe have come up and said, for us to give you this amount of money, you need to have done this and this and this and this? Is there such a provision?
So basically, some governments have developed agriculture financing, solutions. And if you don't mind, I'll probably go out of Kenya and then back. So,
it's okay.
For example,
okay.
in Nigeria, the government has developed a solution through the central bank that basically provides guarantees to financial institutions to be able to lend to agriculture sector, SMEs, farmers, and so on. Ghana has also developed one. In Kenya, the Agriculture Finance Corporation also has developed some solutions to that. So governments across the continent are in the process. They're not there yet, but we are beginning to start the process of developing financial solutions. But then you see, as an enterprise, you also need to structure your business in a way that you can be able to attract investments.
Yes.
Not only from financial institutions, but also investors. Because you see, financing again has 2, or let me say 3 levels. You have debt, you have equity, but then you could also just, inject your own, personal money into it. So whether you're going for debt or equity, you need to structure your business that you can be able to attract those instruments.
So now let's also move on to the access to credit for the person for the entrepreneur. Is there a level where we can say now the entrepreneurs in Kenya have access to credit, that maybe it has been put out and said, now if you want us to help you, you can have access to credit?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there's so many instruments. If you go to Cooperative Bank, there are instruments. Equity Bank has instruments. ABSA Bank has instruments. Agriculture Finance Corporation has instruments. And some of these are either bank-led, the bank develops the solution themselves, or some of them are donor-led. So, for example, the European Union has actually put quite a bit of money into SME financing. But this SME financing, including agriculture SMEs. Even as Agra, we worked with financial institutions before. For example, we've partnered with Agriculture Finance Corporation.
Yes.
We've partnered with Equity Bank. We've partnered with Cooperative Bank. We've partnered with ABSA Bank. So many other banks. Okay. So these products exist. But you see, you just can't walk in and get money. There's a criteria you actually really need to meet. So I think it's important that when we look at access to credit, we look both in and out.
Yes.
The facilities exist, but is the business structured in a way that they can be able to access also? Because there are some SMEs that are accessing money, and there are some that are not. The question is what? or why are they not accessing it? And a lot of it has to do with the way the business is actually structured, because even if it's donor-led, you still need to meet some minimum standards, you know?
Yes.
Your documents, your business structure, your business plan, and all of these things need to be in place.
And now you've spoken about business structure. A person gets laid off, or they retire, and they say, okay, now I want to start a business. I have this amount of money. I want to just open a shop
Exactly.
and put things there, maybe, and sell things. So how does someone make sure that they sustain this business model that they've come up with?
So normally, as a founder entrepreneur, it's all about you. So you have a business idea, you begin to sell either products or solutions, and then you begin to grow. So the business grows to a point where it outgrows you. At that point, now you need structures.
Yeah.
In many cases, these founder entrepreneurs rarely put those structures in place. They hire people with no contracts, because you're my cousin, you're my nephew, you're my niece, I give you a job. And I pay your salary, but, no structure. They probably don't have NSSF or NHIF and so on and so forth. So really, once a business gets to a level where now we normally call it growth pains, where you begin to grow, you begin to expand, at that point in time, you need to put in place management structures, human resource management, financial management, risk management, all of those things. And many entrepreneurs don't do it because it costs money for you to design these systems.
Exactly.
Yeah. So those founder entrepreneurs need, and they're experts out there. They are consultants, or what we call in the development lingo, business development services. People out there who are experts in these areas, and these entrepreneurs need to access them. Yeah, go talk to them to come and help them structure their businesses, so that then two things: you structure your business for growth, but you also structure your business to attract investment.
Yes.
So it's not always about money, because even you as a business, you can actually collapse under the weight of growth. Yeah, there are businesses that grow to a point of failure because they grew so much, you have no idea how much cash flow you're generating, or you're seeing money through the bank, but you're not profitable. That happens. You could be seeing money through the bank, but you're not profitable. So you actually need structures to manage your growth, to ensure that your business succeeds. But you also need structures to be able to attract more investors, because name any company anywhere in the world, no one has grown without investors. You need external money. And also, a founder entrepreneur also needs to be ready to seed shareholding. You don't need to own 100% of a small thing. You can own 20% of a bigger thing that is bigger than 100% of a small thing. Yeah. So those are some of those things that entrepreneurs need to learn.
And even as we speak about this business models, the SMEs, so you've come up with the structure, you've sustained it. Now, how do you now make sure that you support agriculture? Because now we are talking about Agri-SME. Yes.
So you see, agriculture SMEs, as I've told you, are very critical. Without agriculture SMEs, we won't be able to produce enough food, but we also won't be able to feed our population, because SMEs, as I've told you, play a role in ensuring that we get technologies, solutions, products to improve productivity, to process our food, and to sell it to the consumer. So as a country or as a continent, we need to ensure, number one, we develop policies that enable those SMEs to grow, but also even provide them the supporting structures to even improve their business operations. Yeah. But also, as a community, we need to also ensure that, especially with financial institutions, that we find ways of engaging these SMEs. And I'll give you an example. So as a bank, you can sit there and wait for these people to walk in and request for a financing scheme. Or you could design your business in a way that, as a financial institution, you develop a team that goes out there to seek these SMEs, you structure them, then bring them.
Yes.
It costs money. So a financial institution needs to rethink their business model. That if I invest in a team of people who can go out there and develop a pipeline of SMEs, spend 6 months structuring the business. So it's an investment you're making in 6 months, but then you'll get a client for another 20 years. Many financial institutions don't think like that. They wait for customers to walk in. They don't go out. You see? So I think there's also a bit of a shift that we need to make within the financial institutions, on how you should engage, SMEs. Because guess what? Larger corporates, banks fall over themselves. Yeah, they will come to you guys because you're big enough and say, I'd like to structure, a facility for you. You didn't ask for it. But a small business, who cares? You're out there, you're struggling. The day you need money, you will walk into the bank. The first 2 minutes, they make you excited. After 1 hour, you're like, you know what? I actually wasted my 1 hour because they don't understand how my business works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even as we also still speak about this, for example, stakeholders and some industries, do you think they keep on coming up with new regulations that may be affecting the SMEs in maybe their reach to the SMEs?
So in some cases, actually, we have some policies that stifle growth. So I'll give you an example because we are in Kenya. You see, an SME that transports, say, maize from Rift Valley to Nairobi, it's an SME. And then have to pay cess in Uasin-Gishu. They'll pay cess in Nakuru. They'll pay cess in Nyandarua. They'll pay cess in Kiambu. Then come and pay cess in Nairobi.
Wow.
Those are now, things like those are things that need to be paid attention to. So sometimes when it comes to revenue generation, it can stifle growth. Okay? So yes, some policies can actually stifle growth, but I think for me my approach to policy is to be very specific on what is it, because different countries, different either national or subnational level governments have different policies that are either positive or negative. So at that point in time, you really have then have to drill down and identify. But I can tell you, for example, cess is a major issue. 2, we all struggle with aflatoxin. Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever there's aflatoxin, there's an outcry. People died, but have we developed a policy environment to say this is the quality of maize? So, for example, when you buy maize, what grade are you buying? Even me have? Yeah. What are the grades for maize? Who knows these grades? We know the moisture content, but grades do we know? Yeah. Of course, we know the aflatoxin level, but as a farmer or as an SME, how do I even measure aflatoxin?
Yes.
So when you put in place a policy, of course, to protect the consumer, you then need to put in place the structures that ensure that policy works. Because what happens, either these SME sells bad grain to the processor, and the processor may take it and end up giving you flour that is not good, or their grain is rejected because of something. They just don't have the structures to measure that. So policies are good, but also the implementation and the structures to ensure that we implement those policies are very, very critical.
And speaking of policy, now, because when you speak about policy, the government is also involved. Do you think that the government has neglected this and maybe said someone who's supposed to be doing that is not doing their job?
No, governments, as a matter of fact, are doing quite a lot. I mean, I've been one of those politics that governments are doing a lot.
All right.
If you look at the government of Kenya, generally our policy environment is generally okay. It's generally okay. 1 or 2 small things here that we need to fix, but really generally okay. We've now even developed a 10-year agriculture growth and transformation strategy. Very succinct, very, very clear on where the growth opportunities are, the kind of investment that government should make, the kind of investment they need from the private sector and from the very, very clear, good document. So the governments are doing quite a lot. I think the key challenge is, as a business, how do you adhere to policy requirements? Because the truth of the matter is this: many entrepreneurs will default to take shortcuts.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we should ensure our entrepreneurs need to do the right thing, follow the right lead, because those policies were not put in place out of the blues. There was a process. So I think as businesses, we need to look at, and in any case, if there's a policy that for sure is stifling, there are processes and procedures of engaging government to change them.
So even as we move on, an SME is there, and they have raw materials that are being supplied to them. So would you say maybe the inconsistency in this supply of raw materials is the one that is affecting the SMEs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do your tomatoes at home are they always the same size, the same color? Never, isn't it? Okay. Whether you buy fruits, whether you buy vegetables, whatever it is that you buy, it's never consistent. Today you buy this size, tomorrow you buy that size, and you just look at and that is a product of engaging the farmer. Because as a farmer, when I'm producing tomatoes or avocados or vegetables, I'm not producing to a particular standard. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be hit by pests and diseases.
Exactly.
So obviously my produce will have discoloring and so on and so forth. So, and for an SME to be able to have consistent supply, it means they have to then work with farmers who then say, look, my consumers like this quality.
Exactly.
Can you be able to continue to produce that quality for me? No wonder we export to Europe. Consistent quality, high quality, we make so much money. And then local production just happens.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's why when you asked me your first question, I said, apart from finance, I think the other biggest challenge is how do SMEs or agribusinesses continue to engage the farmer to say, please, this is the quality I need for my consumers. Can you be able to continue to produce and be willing to pay for that? Yes. But in many cases, these people, they just buy. So you buy a bag of tomatoes, you give the farmer the lowest price ever because you know only 60% of that is what you're going to use. So you basically squeeze the farmer with very low. But can you imagine if you told the farmer, this is what I want, yeah, and they gave you that quality, you paid them what is due to them. And like now where you buy any crop, of course you lose almost 40% of it, which then goes to waste. Yeah. So those models of engaging smallholder farmers is what is really also hurting these SMEs.
All right, we'll have to go for a short break. We've been speaking to Valentine Miheso, who has been giving us the perspective from his side on SMEs in Kenya and also even around Africa. But when we come back, we're going to look at the 2022 Africa agribusiness outlook, that the report that Agra did, and we are going to just delve deeper into some of the issues that came up during this research. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back with more.